Global debt refers to the total amount of debt owed by governments, businesses, and individuals worldwide. It includes both domestic and international debt obligations. Global debt is a measure of the cumulative borrowing by various entities across countries. Global debt can have both direct and indirect effects on individuals, businesses, and economies. Here are some ways in which global debt can impact us. 1. Interest rates. High levels of global debt can lead to higher interest rates. When governments and businesses borrow extensively, it increases demand for credit, which can push interest rates upward. Higher interest rates can make it more expensive for individuals and businesses to borrow money, affecting their ability to invest, expand, or make purchases. 2. Economic growth. Excessive global debt can hinder economic growth. When governments have high levels of debt, they may need to implement austerity measures such as cutting public spending or raising taxes to manage the debt burden. These measures can reduce economic activity, leading to slower economic growth and fewer job opportunities. 3. Financial stability. Excessive debt can pose risks to financial stability. If borrowers are unable to meet their debt obligations, it can lead to defaults and financial crises. This can have ripple effects across the global financial system, causing disruptions in credit markets, investment flows, and banking sectors, which can impact individuals and businesses through reduced access to credit, market volatility, and potential job losses. 4. Exchange rates. Global debt levels can influence exchange rates. When a country has high levels of debt, it may result in a depreciation of its currency. A weaker currency can affect international trade by making imports more expensive and exports more competitive. This can have implications for businesses and consumers, as it can impact the cost of imported goods, inflation rates, and the competitiveness of domestic industries. 5. Future generations. High levels of global debt can burden future generations. Governments often finance their debt through issuing bonds, which are essentially loans that need to be repaid with interest. If debt levels become unsustainable, future generations may bear the responsibility of repaying those debts through higher taxes or reduced public services. 6. Inflation. High levels of debt can contribute to inflationary pressures. When governments or central banks resort to extensive borrowing to finance spending or stimulate the economy, it can increase the money supply, potentially leading to inflation. Inflation erodes the purchasing power of money and can negatively impact individuals' savings and overall cost of living. 7. Financial market volatility. Excessive global debt can increase market volatility. Uncertainty about debt sustainability or concerns about defaults can lead to fluctuations in bond markets, stock markets, and currency markets. Such volatility can impact investment returns, retirement savings, and overall investor confidence. 8. Income inequality. Global debt can contribute to income inequality. Governments that accumulate high levels of debt may resort to austerity measures, such as reducing social spending or implementing structural reforms. These measures can disproportionately affect vulnerable populations, exacerbating income inequality and social disparities. 9. Sovereign default risks. When countries are unable to repay their debts, they may face the risk of sovereign default. This can result in severe economic crises, loss of investor confidence, and limited access to international financing. Sovereign defaults can have significant implications for citizens in terms of reduced public services, increased unemployment, and a decline in living standards. 10. Capital flight. High debt levels can lead to capital flight, where investors and businesses move their funds out of a country due to concerns about economic stability or debt sustainability. Capital flight can result in reduced investment, diminished business activity, and slower economic growth, negatively impacting employment opportunities and economic well-being. 11. Exchange rate volatility. Global debt levels can contribute to exchange rate volatility. Uncertainty about a country's ability to repay its debts can lead to currency depreciation or fluctuations, which can impact the purchasing power of individuals, increase import costs, and affect international trade. 12. Credit availability. Excessive debt levels can tighten credit conditions. Banks and financial institutions may become more cautious about lending, which can make it harder for individuals and businesses to obtain credit for investments, entrepreneurial ventures, or personal financing needs. 13. Government spending priorities. High levels of debt can limit a government's ability to allocate funds to critical areas such as education, healthcare, infrastructure, and social welfare programs. Debt service obligations can consume a significant portion of the budget, diverting resources away from essential public services. 14. Economic vulnerability. Countries with high debt burdens can be more vulnerable to economic shocks and external factors. Economic downturns, changes in global interest rates, or disruptions in international trade can have a magnified impact on heavily indebted nations, potentially leading to recession, job losses, and social unrest. 15. Interconnectedness and contagion. Global debt creates interconnectedness among economies. Financial crises or debt defaults in one country can have spillover effects, impacting other countries and potentially leading to contagion. These spillover effects can disrupt global financial stability, trade flows, and investor confidence, affecting individuals and businesses worldwide. 16. Fiscal constraints. High levels of debt can limit a government's fiscal flexibility. Governments with substantial debt burdens may face challenges in implementing necessary fiscal policies, such as stimulus measures during economic downturns or investments in infrastructure and public services. This can impede a country's ability to address socioeconomic needs and promote sustainable development. 17. Dependency on external financing. Excessive reliance on external borrowing can make a country vulnerable to changes in global financial conditions. If global investors become hesitant to lend or demand higher interest rates, countries heavily dependent on external financing may experience difficulties in accessing affordable credit. This can hinder economic growth and development opportunities. 18. Confidence and investor sentiment. Global debt levels can impact investor sentiment and confidence in an economy. If investors perceive a country's debt as unsustainable or risky, it can lead to capital outflows, reduced foreign direct investment, and negative market sentiment. This can further exacerbate economic challenges and hinder economic recovery. 19. Interests of lenders. When countries have high levels of debt, they often become reliant on international financial institutions or other lenders for financing. The terms and conditions attached to this debt, such as interest rates or policy conditionality, can influence a country's policy choices, economic sovereignty, and development priorities. 20. Intergenerational equity. Excessive debt accumulation can burden future generations with the responsibility of repayment. When governments accumulate significant debt, it can translate into higher debt servicing costs, increased tax burdens, or reduced public investment in the long run. This can have implications for future generations who may inherit the debt without directly benefiting from the associated spending. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a comment, giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to my channel, and sharing it with your friends. Your support means a lot to me.